Welcome back to another episode of the PM Hour. We talk about the diaspora, our people, everything concerning us. You know, I don't have to explain to y'all. My name is Patrick.
I'm Tasha.
I'm Terry.
It's your boy Garrett, Melanin Pride.
All right. And so this week, what I want to talk about, and I know, just to piggyback off of what we discussed before, I want to talk about just Black women being taken serious and being believed, and how that also is in the medical community, right? And how, I know you guys know, we talked before about how the mortality rate for Black women during childbirth is not just the highest in the United States, but it's also the highest in other developed countries, right? And I think that's interesting. And I was also reading an article where it's not just talking about Black women and the mortality rate, but it goes even deeper than that. I read an article where it's talking about Black babies, right? And the racial discrepancy when it comes to childbirth, right? So we're not only are the moms in jeopardy, but the babies are as well. And this article that we're talking about is, I don't want to read the whole thing, but it was based on a study. It says a study finds that Black newborn babies in the United States are more likely to survive childbirth if they are cared for by Black doctors, right? And it also went on and said that the study found that mortality rate of Black newborns shrunk by between 39% and 58% when Black physicians took charge of the birth, right? So
That's interesting as hell.
I think that's a huge deal.
That's huge.
Right? It's not just showing that we're not safe in their hands at all.
Yes, I totally agree.
Childbirth, From childbirth
Absolutely.
to giving birth, right?
Yeah.
And then we're not going to talk about the prison system
Right.
or any of that, right? So I just want to, how do you guys feel about that? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Just even feeling like from childbirth, we're not safe in this country.
It's, if I can chime in, say with this, hearing things like these and articles like these, it just always made me go back to my thinking on the systematic situation of what Black people have to live into, not just America, but worldwide. That it's just not going to work. I'm sorry, for me, it's just not going to work with having ourselves continuously dominated by these other groups. We have these different Black leaders that's telling us that we have to keep on playing up on white moral sensibilities in order to get what we need as a people. Yes. When in every aspect you see that it's not working, that our lives are taken in the effort of trying to make them understand that our lives matter, And whether you know it or not, we are facing genocide. We're just facing the slowest genocide the world has ever seen. It's slow paced and it's multifaceted, so you can't pinpoint exactly where it's coming from. Situations like these, you see our babies. Here's another fact you might know. Along with our babies die more in white hands than is Black, do you know that our children are more educated when it's coming from a Black teacher?
Yes.
Think about how many other situations there is. If we just focus on ourselves and we do things for ourselves outside of any other group, that our situation will be far more better. And if you're a Black American, then you see that we're behind enemy lines here in this country. We're having a line. So we have to look towards them and the powers that be, white superiority in this country, because they are the dominant force. And I get why we have to look towards them, because, hey, we know their brutality, so we have to try to get whatever crumbs we can from them and not put ourselves in the firing, position in order to face their brutality, because we feel there's no other way. If we just focus on ourselves, and they do a good job of making sure that we don't focus on ourselves. Yeah. Listen to our podcast. For those who know us, the PM Hour, we talked about another issue with Bill Clinton going at the John Lewis funeral, talking about Stokely Carmichael. Even then, we talked about how, even in today, white people and a prominent figure like Bill Clinton would have to say, don't think like a Stokely Carmichael. Don't think about yourself, black people. Don't think about what you need to do for yourself. No, look towards us. Even in the face of death. Even in the face of death. Yes, come to us. But this is part of the design that they have for us. It's part of the overall clear design. You know, so it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. Things like this is extremely infuriating. And if this is infuriating, if this doesn't make you mad, then you don't really look at the big picture. You don't see it. If you just see this as an isolated issue, oh, it's just in the medical field. No. You're not looking at the whole spectrum of everything that we face as a black people. And that's my point on the whole thing. Systematic.
Yes, my take on this situation is that they already are trying to kill us off with our newborns. You see how they put up these abortion clinics in our community? Why is that? Why are they already trying to get rid of us at a young age? They already got our black mans already wrapped up in this prison system. No, I am not trying to get there, but I just want you guys to look at the bigger picture and the avenue of the situation. Why are they trying to crumble us already? They don't think that we're trying to see what they're trying to do to us, but you guys need to open your eyes and see the bigger picture of what's going on. Look at the situation of how they are already having us wrapped up. The doctors, in which I do see and believe that the black doctors are trying to have our children be born, which I think is a beautiful thing, and the white doctors are not doing their job properly. Well, no, I'm going to keep it like how I said it. But at the end of the day, I still do believe is that when you do have your doctors and you want to put your life and your baby's life in the hands of these white doctors, which to me is not a good idea, is because you see the rate that they're going.
Teachers, this don't make you mad, sis? Upsetting?
No, and
it's infuriating. It's definitely
very,
infuriating.
very distaste to my mouth, because all my children are here and I'm loving it, and I'm glad that I went the route that I went, which all my children doctors was black.
There you go.
And it's going to stay that way. And if I do have any more, they're going to remain black doctors.
I think we need to push
and
that.
I'm going to keep on putting the money in the black doctor's hand.
That.
You see,
because that's where it needs to be.
You're right. You know, to egg on what you're saying, sis, and we're going to keep this going forward. I think we kind of take things for granted. And stuff like doctors, dentists, you know, even our regular convenience stores.
Can you watch my puppy?
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we sit here and we don't realize that when other people or in other communities, that's exactly what they do. They don't understand. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that other races don't shop at black stores, because they do. But when it just comes to their regular everyday moving around and accessing, spending money, you know, whatever they're doing in their everyday life, they make sure that certain things are just done by people that look like them. And you don't even want to have to necessarily bring it to them.
Absolutely true.
Subconsciously, they just do this. They just look at another person and they just know that that's my person. Hold on, hold on yourselves before y'all get excited, because the thing is this. I want all y'all to understand that it's subconscious in these people. They get it. They understand it. Okay, real quick. My sister talked about an article. This is what we're talking about with the black babies. And reading this article, there's something that a point that I had to really kind of get in myself when I was reading this. And it said that the black doctors that treated these white kids, in the same article, the black doctors that treated the white kids, it was stagnant. Nothing ever changed. So,
good point.
The
we're not that way.
The white doctors had a decrease in the fatalities of whether it was the babies, because of this article, like I said, and so see, I question everything. I didn't mean to disrespect earlier. We talked about, but the thing is, I question everything. So one of these articles, I'm pretty sure it's not going to talk about the mother's fatality. I'm pretty sure some of these mothers, they probably died too. And
Yeah,
since these babies,
that's a different.
I'm pretty sure, but I'm saying to coincide. I'm pretty sure that's something that happened there too. They didn't want to say.
Right.
But again. The black doctors, and this article said this is not me. The article said this. So the black doctors was able to keep the consistency with not just the black babies, but they actually was more birth rate and higher with the black babies, but every other race was stagnant in the same. They didn't really lose much. It was pretty much about the same.
But when it comes get killed
with the white doctors, specifically, this article was to say that. Now, It comes to with the institute. I think it was the U.S. We should kind of short that. It was with the U.S. It was the U.S. Health
Can
Institute.
I do want to say one short thing before you go. I do feel like, yes, a lot of it, like you said earlier, is systematic, right? It would be easy to say, oh, this doctor went in there and said, oh, this is a black lady having a black baby. I don't care about this. Call me when I'm done with my break. That's not how it happens. It's systematic, right? It's all in how you're trained. That's a lot of it. And a lot of Africans, black people, but it's also a problem in Africa because Africa also have a shortage of doctors. But we're not forced or taught to go into that field, or we're actually discouraged to go into that field and to go into a lot of other fields where if we did, it would benefit us, right? Because there's that understanding. But because it's systematic, you're not encouraged to go into that field. So more people that are not your race, and I want to say of your understanding, because it's not just the race thing, it's also people that are like have that understanding, trained to understand people of your culture.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
So that part is missing. So you get a lot of doctors that don't have the empathy and the sympathy and the training to deal with certain marginalized groups. Yeah. Right. And so you have that deficiency. And I think a lot of it too, like I said, it'd be easy to think that, but I think it's subconscious. And so I think a part of it then is up to us now that our eyes are open and we push our kids and we push our, like that's the future. So we push our kids into those type of fields so that you can have that. Because not only does it benefit us, but it benefits other race too. Because in order to even get into that field and do that, you already think outside the box. Yeah. They don't have to think outside the box because everything is based on them. Not just that, but you have like Band-Aids. You don't have to worry. You go get a Band-Aid, it's a white Band-Aid. For a white skin. Right. You don't need to think. The training that you have, the medical books, the weight, the weight proportions, if you're this height and you're this whatever, this is the weight, gloves, all of that is based on white hands, based on white bodies and the clothes. That's all based on white. There is that bias. So if you push your people and get more people in that to where you can rip that bias open, then that's where you get, that diversity, and that's where you get more of your, because that's what happened in the article. You get more of your babies living because now you have black people taking care of black babies. Yeah. And not only that, better taking care of other races. And better. This ain't even the only section. Black, how they always say the Jamaican nurses, black people just take care of people better. And that's what it comes down to.
Yes, and generally speaking, and again, it's kind of one of those topics that we talked about later in one of our podcasts where it's like, can I tickle your brain here for a second? Now, is it kind of one of those things, like is it almost similar as to like that black intuition, like that black mother, like how we talked about? Is that like kind of the same thing what you're saying? Yeah. It's like that, like we kind of understand that we have like these nurses, if they see like black patients, they know that they will go to these patients. They will know that they'll take care of these kind of patients like they're kind of like their own. Similar to what you kind of say, right? It's like family member kind of, right? They kind of look at them differently, So then again, scope can be broadened. So then
we innately do that.
So now can we look at the broad? We talk about this all the time, people. Can we not separate nothing?
Economically, culturally, and socially, other races don't have to think about gravitating towards their people. They don't have to think about consuming what their people produce. They don't have to think about producing what their people consume. Our situation as a people is far more precarious. We have to actually put into practice forcing ourselves to think that way to hopefully eventually come to a point where we can be like them. We don't have to think about it anymore. We can just naturally gravitate towards that. We're not at a point where we can naturally gravitate towards what we do as a people because there's disruption. We don't have the benefit of cultural continuity. They do, however. We can go into the whole reason why that is, but that's just our situation. So we have to talk about these things. We have to talk about how we can, as a people, have some kind of consistency and protect ourselves from entire systematic evils that we face, and not this whole thinking that we have to deal with our situation one by one and be spread out our efforts to deal with things one by one, where we can just concentrate our efforts in one way, which is a pan-Africanist type of view, a fundamental type of view, where we can just think about ourselves and focus on what we do. I guarantee you, in my opinion, will solve a lot of problems simultaneously.
Simultaneously, I agree.
This is the PM Hour. We'll talk about this one. We could go on and on about this. You know what I'm saying? The PM Hour. So, join us, subscribe, like us, whatever social media platform you go on. You know what I'm saying? People chime in and just send us your comments and we can do this thing. All right. We'll talk.